Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're hopping into it as we spawn down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. The pink Terran player, we saw him in that last series take his TvT. How's his TvZ though? Give it up for the Academy MYI player, Smile. And his opponent, spawning up here in the top right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player, the Mexican Zerg player. Give it up for Cham. All right, and people in the chat all spamming Dragon. Damn you guys. I don't know why I actually mentioned that. That is legitimately a pretty big pet peeve of mine of like, I really hate the fact that I share a name with Dragon. Not because I have anything against Dragon, but because in Twitch chats, it's so hard for my Twitch alert thing, like my better Twitch TV, to actually notice that stuff. And when someone's actually talking to me directly. But these two guys seem to be pretty friendly with each other. They may not be from the same continent, but they're both playing on the North American server. And Smile was saying again that these two guys face off against each other quite a bit, and it tends to be really, really back and forth between the two. Who's going to end up taking the series? Who actually knows? It says that it ends up being back and forth, but it's back and forth in the series. Or I should say in the games, not necessarily in the individual way that the games play out. And what I mean by that is the scores end up being very back and forth. You know, one player will win one game, next player will win the other. But the games, he said, tend to be a little bit more one-sided. We already have a relatively early Roach Warden coming down at the 2-minute mark. This is pretty early on. Cham, I mentioned this at the very beginning of the day as I was talking about some of the players. He is one of the more aggressive Zerg players out there. He definitely is not afraid to all in. He's definitely not afraid to put on the aggression. He's still joining up a little bit right now, and the Reaper is going to be coming in over here. Scouts out that Roach one, as a couple of these Zergons are going to be popping out. And these Zergons are here mostly just to deal with the Reaper. We'll see how far Cham actually takes that Roach Warren. If this is going to be like a safety Roach Warren, or if he's really going to be putting on the aggression. 2 Roaches going to be popping out. Roaches, really, really good. And this is another thing about these Roaches, is that Reapers are still, you know, they obviously, of course, made some changes and everything to some of the maps and everything, but Reapers are still pretty nice on this map, just because you have all of this surface area you can try and hop into the main base with these Reapers for. And you can see how many Reapers are actually popping out right now. There are no more Reapers making their way across the map after this 4th one, but 4 Reapers can still do a decent amount of damage. It can really mess with the Zerg player. So Cham may have just been anticipating this, maybe having played against Smile quite a bit and saying, okay, let me get up a couple of these Roaches. And you can see he's droning up behind this and saying, well, let me just, ooh, this is one of those Reapers over there. Not entirely ideal. But he's saying, like, let me play this a little bit safe. I don't want to take any more damage than I need to. Behind this, we do have that 3rd command center going up for Smile. So he's looking to play this out a little bit more economically focused with the safety of the aggression for these Reapers. These Reapers really going to be just keeping Cham back a little bit, making sure Cham can't move across the map and shut down an early 3rd command center or anything of the sort. Getting out a couple of Marines behind this, getting up a factory, you know, really, really slow startup over here in terms of tech for Smile, but really, really powerful economically, I should say, especially in compared to Cham, who is still just trying to drone up, still trying to saturate his first 2 bases, but went for those early Roaches and is really, really going to be falling quite a bit further behind as the game goes on, unless he does something to catch up. Double evolution chamber is going to be nice, and the Roaches now making their way down, and the Reapers gonna look for an opportunity to move up, but the Zerglings not entirely in position to catch these Reapers, but Reapers don't decide to go up, they decide to go down. And Cham, he's leading up in supply, but that's only because these Roaches are so supply efficient. 3rd expansion going down very, very late, and the Reapers are moving back in potentially to get a scat off. No. Bit of a miscontrol over there. Ends up losing one of the Reapers. Not really getting a whole lot more ground covered, but he sees a lot of these Roaches, and he might be anticipating, okay, wait a second, are you going to go for the big aggression? He also sees that the layer starts up right now, and sees that there aren't a lot of, actually, I would say seeing that there's only 2 gas geysers, and only now a 3rd gas geyser starting up, he actually probably feels a little bit more comfortable. He sees a lot of Roaches, but honestly, as long as he can get out that first siege tank or 2 out in time for any kind of push out across the map, he's going to be sitting in a great position. 3rd command center also safely going to be landing on the low ground. Yeah, Smile realizes, wait a second, you actually just don't have the gas to mass produce like crazy numbers of Roaches right now, and you don't really have the economy to do it either, so he knows he can safely establish that 3rd expansion. Combat shields is also being researched as Stim is finally finished up, and Cham finally getting a scout off and saying, oh, wait a second, your third expansion is already finished, landed, and mining? This is a bit concerning, I think, for Cham. Because again, you might be looking and saying, oh, well, the worker counts are, you know, Cham is leading up in the worker counts. We have to remember, Terran players get to a magical place when they get up to 3cc. 3cc is like this magic world where you can be down in workers by actually much further, I would say, than Smile is right now, and still be in an okay position, just because the mules that you get from those 3 command centers are absolutely fantastic. Cham may be looking to equalize this in a different way, rather than going for crazy amounts of aggression. He may just be looking to grab a super fast 4th expansion instead, knocking down those destructible rocks, pumping a lot of those roaches, and also getting up pneumatized carapace, as well as, you know, for the overlord speed and everything, as well as Galileo reconstitution. So he may be looking to put on a bit of aggression. He also has some really nicely positioned overlords. I'm just saying he could go for some kind of crazy fun roach drops, but I don't know if he'll actually go for something like that. Having the evolution chambers there is mostly for the upgrades, which he's leading up in 1-1. He does still have a couple of good advantages he has going his way in this game. Marines pushing out across the map over here for Smile. Just a handful of them, just enough for well, actually more than just one drop. It's going to be a little bit awkward when these Marines end up realizing, wait a second, we're going to lift up to the medevac. Oh, but wait. There's actually not a whole lot. Well, it looks like there may have been a bit of drop harassment over here. I don't think there was a whole lot of damage done, though. Marines coming in over to the 4th expansion. They do get a scout off on this, and there we go. The 2 Marines, or the couple of the Marines, do get picked off, and the remainder of the Marines say, okay, well, let's head up into the medevac without our allies. That's a little bit awkward. And, oh, Smile tries to be a little bit tricky, tries to make it look like he's going to go for the main base, but ends up actually going right into Cham's hands. Second medevac maybe looking like it wants to unload and do a bit of double harassment. But Cham is on top of this. Cham is not taking any damage from this. It's working out really well. As these Marines actually get picked off over here by Smile. And these Marines over here not really able to find any form of, or any way that they can put on the aggression. Even Cham is even ready if there's any additional harassment inside the natural expansion. He's prepared. He has roaches that are moving around the 4th expansion. He's making a couple of Ravagers now. And really, Smile is just relying on the fact that he can keep Cham back, but Cham is starting to actually catch up and spiral a bit out of control with that 4th expansion finished up. His hive tech going up right now. The upgrades definitely in his favor, or going to be in his favor once again in about 15 to 20 seconds, but the engagement may be happening right before that. Ravagers in the mix as well. The roaches might be all trying to congregate over here, but I don't even think that he needs to. He has more than enough to push away this army for Smile. This is actually just straight up macro that Cham is beating Smile with. And I was sitting over here talking a lot about how Smile was sitting in, oh my god, Corrosive Biotech out one of the medevacs. Really well done over there. Another medevac drop tries to move in over at the 3rd expansion. But Smile is so far, he's not been able to make the damage that he wanted to have happen with this push happen. And Cham's defense has been immaculate, and it's really allowed him to, yeah, he made a lot of those roaches slightly earlier on, but he has not had to any kind of aggression really force down his worker counts or anything. He's lost 13 workers so far, but at the end of the day, I mean, Cham has had more than enough. He's got 70 workers, and even with the fast 3cc play, Cham has been able to catch up. He's been able to pump out that massive roach army, and now he's leading up so far in army supply that he can just push across the map. Most of the drops have also been cleaned up as well, so I think that Smile's gonna have a really hard time actually making a whole lot happen over here in terms of keeping Cham back at home and stopping him from pushing out across the map. But Cham finishes up 2-2. He's got a hive tech. He can throw down his Ultralisk Cavern if he really wants to, start going up to that beautiful Ultralisk chitinous plating late game. And what can Smile really do about it? He's sitting on pure Marines. He's got a couple of siege tanks out, but he is absolutely not ready for an Ultralisk transition coming out anytime soon. Another expansion being taken over here for Cham. My only real big concern right now is that Cham plays a little bit too passively. He's sitting up at max out army supply, and he's not moving out across the map. This is, I feel like, the only way that Smile can really catch up in this. Like, he lost a lot of his army, but if Cham is not making more army, he's getting up a good bank and everything, but oh, Smile actually putting on the aggression. Once again, this is an interesting decision. He's gonna get absolutely obliterated over here. And there's not even a chance that Cham will take this. Oh god, a beautiful Corsair Pal goes down on top of the Marines. It's cleaned up. Cham, once again, he's already maxed out. He is sitting up 70 supply ahead of his opponent. How in the world can Smile actually defend another wave of aggression? He just straight up can't, and that was enough for Cham to say, like, okay, let's do this. I have 27 Roaches and Ravagers in the production tab. He doesn't actually even need to remax right now on any kind of Ultralisk tech. He just straight up can make your Roach Ravager and take this. There's nothing that Smile can really effectively do unless he has the most godlike Siege Tank micro that he's ever done in his entire life. But here we go, Ravagers pumping on in. It's not looking too good. A couple of Blinding Clouds going down, but they're not really even needed. And if you had any doubts in your mind that he was going to be able to push on in, the Roach reinforcements come in. And Smile, I mean, he was right. When they have their games, they are one-sided. We'll see if he can make it a little bit more one-sided in his favor in game number 2. But so far, it's not looking so great for him right now. A couple of the Siege Tanks in the main base getting taken out. I mean, he's done a pretty good job of trading efficiently, but Cham just a little bit too strong, and I believe he takes the game. And actually,